Definitely.
I mean, we've touched upon Syria, which a lot of people from Syria have gone to the borders of Turkey and across over to Turkey, and then maybe again, as we say, because it's so near, they could come by water or whatever here. It could be they are looking for a new life, a better life. Are we dealing with any families? Have you ever had a family come with children?
Yes.
To your onto your books?
We have 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, families who are residing here as a family unit. But we also experienced a lot of cases, especially again with Syrians, where they arrived in big groups, which would be composed of 2 or 3 families who are also usually related, and they were returned at the border gates. And I mean, we experienced pregnant women being deported, young children with their families being deported or kept in custody for a long time and then being deported. So we do experience these, unfortunately. We are working on resolving these issues with the authorities. However, until we reach a final point, we will keep experiencing these problems.
So when we have a case and you are looking into the case and seeing that they are refugees or not, obviously if they are not classed as refugees or asylum seekers, then they are obviously sent away.
Yes.
Sent back because they are here not on the right terms.
Grounds, yes.
They don't qualify for asylum. However, if they do, what happens? What is the benefit of having this status as a refugee? How do you help these refugees and asylum seekers?
Thanks to the previous lobbying work has been done, because I only joined this team 10 months ago, but a lot of work has been done even before I joined the team. We do now provide free healthcare services to anyone with a UNHCR asylum or refugee certificate. They can enroll their children to public schools if they wish to, and they have an easier process in obtaining a working permit. If a person is certified by the UNHCR, any employer who applies to receive a working permit for such persons would not require to first obtain the pre-permit, and also does not have to pay a deposit, which are the 2 requirements for hiring a third country national in this country. So you simply apply for a working permit, and without those 2 conditions, the process will start. So these are the 3 main achievements that we have secured so far. And of course, we do have a small budget provided by the UNHCR to provide some daily subsistence allowance. We do receive donations, which is also a big part of our work. We do a lot of fundraising. So we try to also help people to sustain their lives if they're unfit to work or have been out of employment for a long time and is finding it difficult to find a job. And we also assist them in finding a job. I mean, I can say that we have a small job center in our office for refugees. Like we collect their skills, their education levels, we search job databases, we contact employers, ask if they would be interested in meeting one of our candidates, arrange meetings, accompany them to interviews, provide them help with their CVs, etc. So we do help them to get on with their lives.
Because it must be quite traumatic for them if they've come from a different country and they're displaced now in a new country, a foreign country to them. This help is very, very valuable to get them on their feet, to provide a home, to provide education if there are young children, to provide the opportunity to find work. As you say, I mean, quite a lot of processes must be met to get, work permits and everything, and you help them with that process and they get the work permit easier. And for instance, maybe if they go to the state hospital, they can be seen and they receive, health treatment as well. And this is all very, very important. I'm sure, real refugees and asylum seekers must have gone through a traumatic time, and to have this friendly face saying to them, we'll be here to help you, is quite important.
Definitely. I mean, there are times that we also feel trapped, because especially with the employment situation, the first thing that everybody wants is to survive without charity and without support of others. I mean, you can see this in the eyes of pretty much every person that we deal with. I mean, they appreciate the financial support that we provide them, but you feel that they would prefer not to have it.
Yeah.
But there are times that we find it difficult in finding a job. Maybe the person does not speak the languages required for the job, Turkish or English, because especially people coming from Africa are usually French speakers, and they would also speak a local dialect of their tribal language, but they may not be able to speak English, let alone Turkish. And then we have ongoing situations where the person is willing to work, is trying to find something, but you know, all the effort has been unsuccessful, etc. But other than that, yes, we do have a positive relationship with the people we work. We usually receive thanks. But sometimes we also do not receive anything after a person is provided a home and a job. But that also is understandable, because the trauma that a refugee experiences is something that we cannot understand. I mean, the Cypriots generally, like our grandparents especially, and maybe our mothers and fathers, can to some extent relate, but us, the third generation, would find it difficult to relate to the situation because we've never been displaced.
Yes.
So it's a specific kind of trauma. So even if they don't thank us, we know that they're safe and happy, and that's the biggest reward that we get for our work.
Well, it's quite a unique situation because obviously, as you say, our grandparents, during the troubles here in Cyprus, they were displaced from their own homes, their villages. So maybe they can understand how it is to leave everything behind.
Yes.
And go and start anew. Obviously, they didn't leave the country. Most of them stayed on the island of Cyprus. But to move from another country is even worse, I suppose, in a way, because you're changing country, you're changing language, maybe, you know, the whole culture you're used to changes, especially when you said from the Ivory Coast, and, you know, the African, you know, is very, very different culture to the Cypriot culture here. So obviously, the process of making sure that they deserve, they are, you know, real refugees. Is it a long process? I mean, do they have to go through interviews? Do you check their background? I mean, how do you find out?
It takes place in 3 stages. First, when we receive an application, we receive applications, or we identify POCs, we call them, person of concern, by either through our regular monitoring activities that we conduct at prisons, courts, borders. We check them regularly to see if there is a foreign national, and I mean, our lawyers visit them to see if they do have a claim for asylum, etc. And then also we have people who find us themselves, maybe, for example, they know someone who had already applied to us and he's from the same country with that person, so he's been directed to our office, etc. So once we first meet a person with a claim, we do have a pre-screening mechanism which is conducted by our lawyers. So they do receive the story, they check it with the facts that we know from the field, so like which country they're coming from. Is there a problem in that country, an ethnic, religious, or civil war situation? Is it regional, that problem, or a general problem? If it is regional, does this person come from that specific region, or is he or she part of the problematic groups? I mean, sometimes you have 5 or 6 different ethnic groups in a country, and the conflict is only between the 2, so it does not affect the rest of the 4 groups. So we do check their ethnic background. We do ask some cultural questions to verify whether they are actually from that group or not, etc. So we do a primary analysis, and after consulting with the UNHCR our findings, we decide whether this person might actually have a legitimate claim or not. The ones that we believe do not, we do not follow up their cases. We just, if we suspect that they have a legal situation like visas, etc., we do consult with the police, we inform them. But if we have already met them under the custody of police or in the court, we just drop the case and let it to the natural process of the situation.